Two men, one woman. A forbidden love that fractured a brotherhood and forged a legacy written in blood and destiny. Before Jamie Fraser, before Claire, there was a love triangle that tore hearts apart and sparked a family saga that would echo through centuries. This is where the story truly begins, before the name Fraser became legend, before the clan sang songs of rebellion and love. Two men stood side by side. Murtagh Fitzgibbons Fraser and Brian Fraser, not brothers by blood, but by bond, united in loyalty, laughter, and hardships. Yet fate had other plans. In the world of Outlander, Blood of My Blood, Season 2 pulls back the veil, revealing the untold love story that ignited everything we know. The Scottish Highlands in their raw beauty are a land of mist and myth, a place where pride runs deep and loyalty is thicker than the fog that rolls over its rocky hills. And in the heart of this wild world stands Ellen McKenzie, the woman who would change everything. Daughter of a powerful clan, spirited, fearless, and impossible to ignore. Her voice carries the fire of a warrior. Her heart beats with the courage of a queen. But her life is chained by duty. Murtagh, a man hardened by battle and silence, never meant to fall for her. But love, as the Highlanders say, is its own kind of war. He watched her from afar, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. A man of low birth, a soldier loyal to the Frasers, Murtagh carried a love he could never declare. A love he buried beneath honor, friendship, and the aching silence that haunted him. Brian Fraser, on the other hand, was everything Murtagh wasn't, bold, charming, and unaware of the storm he was stepping into. To Brian, Ellen was light, a kindred soul, someone who looked beyond a man's station and into his heart. He saw her as a woman, not a bargaining chip for her clan. His courage made him speak where Murtagh only watched. His honesty made him act where Murtagh only dreamed. But neither of them knew. The heart can love freely, but the world does not. Ellen belonged to a world where marriages were more than promises. They were weapons. She was to be married off in a political alliance to Malcolm Grant, a union between clans to silence a feud older than memory. But fate has never cared for the rules of men. The first spark lit at a McKenzie gathering where songs echoed across the glen. Murtagh's quiet eyes found hers, and for a fleeting moment she smiled, a spell cast in a second. But Brian was there too, his heart beating faster each time Ellen laughed, unaware that in his joy he was stepping into the deepest betrayal neither man wished to make. Murtagh's love was quiet, but Brian's was loud and unashamed. And Ellen, caught between duty and desire, found herself slowly drowning in a sea of impossible choices. But this was only the beginning that a friendship like theirs was forged in blood and loyalty. But even the strongest bond can shatter when love enters the battlefield. As the days unfolded after the gathering, the easy rhythm between Murtagh and Brian began to break under the quiet weight of longing. Brian didn't notice at first, not the way Murtagh's gaze lingered on Ellen's footsteps, nor the silence that followed every mention of her name. He thought the world was, as it always had been, full of honor and trust, unbroken and whole. But love has a way of turning truths into puzzles, and soon, even the stars seemed to shimmer differently. Word of Ellen's betrothal to Malcolm Grant spread like winter frost. Cold, everywhere. The clans whispered, the tension rose. The McKenzie clan would unite with the Grants, and a fragile peace would settle. But none of it mattered to the hearts breaking beneath it all. To Murtagh, it felt like the sky itself was closing in. Ellen, everything he'd ever silently wanted, was slipping away into the arms of a man of status, not heart. Brian, however, saw none of this. Maybe he didn't want to. His heart was blind to Murtagh's pain, driven only by his belief that Ellen's spirit matched his own. He found himself drawn to her laughter, her courage, and the way she refused to bow beneath the weight of expectations. He wasn't trying to steal love from his brother in arms. He simply believed that love should belong to all who feel it. But what happens when two good men fall for the same woman and neither is wrong? The answer revealed itself one night beneath the fires of Beltain. Celebration filled the air. Songs, dancing, a world alive with passion, abandon, and the ancient promise that for one night all rules could be broken. Brian saw the chance to confess his feelings, to step forward. Murtagh saw only the firelight reflecting in Ellen's eyes, brighter than the embers carried by the wind. What Murtagh didn't see, what he couldn't hear over the crackle of flames and the roar of laughter, was his friend turning to him for support. Brian believed, truly believed, that Murtagh would stand with him, even if the path led straight through his heart. He trusted the bond between them, not knowing that every smile he gave Ellen was a dagger that Murtagh took without a word. Brian asked him for help that night, help to speak to Ellen, and though it nearly shattered the last piece of Murtagh's resolve, he said yes. Not because he could bear it, but because he couldn't bear to say no. That answer changed everything. Murtagh's sacrifice was as sharp as a blade, carving through friendship, through love, through the very core of who he was. His silence became a grave for dreams unwritten. His loyalty, once his greatest strength, now served as chains around his breaking heart. Ellen saw only glimpses of this anguish, brief flickers in the shadows of Murtagh's guarded eyes. But fate was not finished with them yet. The wheel of destiny turned again, faster, heavier, wickedly. Brian's near-fatal encounter with a wild boar brought them all face to face. Ellen found him, saved him, and in that moment, as she tended to his wounds with hands that shook not from fear, but from something deeper, the truth could no longer be denied. She was falling too. When Murtagh arrived, he saw what no man wants to see. The woman he'd cherished, the friend he'd loved, the bond he'd bled for, now bound together by something stronger than clan or promise. And yet the unspoken curse of true loyalty lingered in the air. It was only a matter of time before everything they were, and everything they risked, came undone. The days that followed were a test of endurance, a cruel one. Murtagh stood by, silent and steady, as Brian and Ellen drifted closer, unaware of the storm that raged behind his steady gaze. Every shared look between them, every hushed word, was a reminder that love was no longer something he could protect or claim. It had already chosen its path, and it wasn't his. Brian lived in joy, a joy that came with the knowledge of a love found, not stolen. He trusted that the world was right, that no bonds were being broken, that friendship meant safety, that Murtagh's silence meant peace. But all the while, Murtagh's heart was being carved hollow, inch by inch, by the very man he would die for. And Ellen, caught between duty and desire, she too lived in the margins of two worlds. The promise of a loveless union to Malcolm Grant weighed on her like iron. Her soul rebelled, her heart sought freedom, and in Brian she saw the ghost of everything she wanted, a life lived on her own terms, not a sentence handed down by clan politics. But the heartache woven through these lives came to a fierce turn one evening. Brian, unable to contain the truth any longer, told Murtagh the words he never wanted to hear. "I love her." 3 words that ended everything. The world, the whole world, seemed to still in that moment. Murtagh heard nothing else. His throat tightened. His chest felt like it had been cleaved open. Here it was, the truth revealed, not with malice, but with honesty. That was what cut deepest. That Brian loved her not as a conqueror, but as a man who believed in love above all else. Murtagh wanted to scream, to rage, to strike at the heavens that laughed down at him. But he didn't. He had never been the man to put his own heart before someone else's. So he said the one thing no heartbroken soul should ever have to. "Then I wish ye happiness." It was a lie, but a noble one. That night, beneath the weight of the Highland sky, Murtagh walked alone. The cold wind bit through his coat, and the stars above seemed like distant, mocking eyes. He whispered her name, Ellen, and with it, He let the love he held burn away, bit by bit, not gone but buried, in silence, in loyalty, in the sacrifice only true devotion knows. What Murtagh didn't know then, what no one knew, was that this tragic love, this sacrifice, would ripple through the bloodlines to come. That the child born of Brian and Ellen, the fearless Jamie Fraser, would carry both their love and their heartbreak as part of his destiny. The legend of Outlander would be shaped not only by time travel and war, but by a love triangle that broke one man to build another. Yet this was not the end. Fate wasn't done wielding its cruel poetry. Ellen's arranged marriage was still looming. The Grants still expected peace. And Murtagh's silence still haunted every room he shared with Brian. The choice was no longer in the hands of the heart. It was in the hands of the world, and it was about to demand its price. And now, the secret no one saw coming finally steps out of the shadows. Just when Murtagh and Brian believe they stand alone in this impossible love battle, a mysterious figure from the past returns. Someone who holds the power to end everything or save it. The reveal is quiet at first, but it shakes the entire story like a storm. This figure knows every secret the Frasers have ever tried to hide. The truth about Jamie's childhood, the bond between his parents, and the path that shaped him into the man we know from Outlander. This person is not a stranger, not a foe, but someone woven deeply into the Fraser lineage. A ghost from the past who never really left. Their arrival shifts the power completely. Suddenly, every decision Murtagh and Brian make becomes a question of loyalty versus survival. Who can they trust when one trusted soul has been watching silently, waiting, to either destroy or defend the love that began it all? Murtagh is the first to sense danger. His instincts scream to protect Ellen. But Brian, blinded by passion and a promise he made long ago, refuses to see the warning signs. The storm breaks loose, and what started as a love triangle threatens to become a battlefield, one that will shape generations of Frasers to come. Sacrifices will be made, hearts will be shattered, and one truth will stand tall in the rising chaos. In the world of blood of my blood, love is never simple, because every choice leaves a legacy and the ghosts of the past are never truly gone. Just when the fragile balance seems to hold between Murtagh, Brian, and Ellen, the most devastating truth is revealed. Behind all the longing, the stolen glances, and the unspoken words, someone is playing a dangerous double game. And this time, the betrayal doesn't come from an enemy, but from the one they trusted most. Brian, who swore to protect Ellen at all costs, has been hiding a truth darker than any broken promise. A truth that shakes Murtagh to his core. Brian made a deal, one that could cost both Ellen and Murtagh everything, including their lives. A deal with the very man who now seeks to control the Fraser legacy from the shadows. Brian didn't do it out of malice, but out of fear. Fear that the world would never let love like theirs survive. Murtagh is shattered, not because he's lost Ellen, but because he's lost trust. His loyalty, once unbreakable, now hangs by a thread. Ellen feels the weight too. One man she loves has betrayed her to save her. The other stands broken, wondering if love has become the strongest enemy of them all. As the betrayal unfolds, a new threat rises. The future of the Fraser family now depends on a choice, forgiveness or destruction. And as history has shown, one betrayal, no matter how deeply buried, can change everything. Because in blood of my blood, love is powerful. But betrayal? It's unforgettable.